Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorns and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Shen, the Eye of Twilight. Shen is the son of the Great Master Kusho and the current leader of the Kinkou Order. Before becoming the Eye of Twilight, Shen was one of the Order's brightest students, along with Zed, who he considered to be one of his best friends. Zed and Shen were so promising that Kusho brought them both along to hunt the Golden Demon, a mass murderer who turned out to be Jin. When Kusho had Jin sent to prison, Zed was furious. He believed a monster like that should be killed. This was the start of the schism between his father and his best friend. The final straw was when Noxus invaded Ionia, and Kusho ordered the Kinkou to not intervene. Zed left, and Shen stayed. While Shen was away from the temple, Zed came back, killed Kusho, and took the temple for himself and his new Order of Shadow. Shen took the remnants of the Kinkou to the mountains to continue his father's teaching and maintain tradition. He continues on as the Eye of Twilight, trying to maintain both balance with the spirit realm and the traditions his father strove to keep alive. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon, who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and the shiny math rocks rolling. One of our rewards for our patrons is monthly homebrewed content. This month's homebrew is The Hidden City, based on Bandle City. We released last month's homebrew, The First Lands, on a DM's Guild if you're interested in seeing that. Come join us over on Patreon if you're interested in supporting the channel and getting access to some great content. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with the Mark of Sentinel Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. Down the line of priority, we're going to go max dexterity, wisdom, constitution, strength, intelligence, and finally we'll dump charisma. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 5 in fighter, jump over to cleric for 8 levels, then back to fighter for the remaining 7. Shen's passive, Key Barrier, is going to come from the Shield of the Faithful spell. Our Q, Twilight Assault, is going to come from Spiritual Weapon. His W, Spirit's Refuge, comes from Odaluk's Resilient Sphere. Our E, Shadow Dash, will come from the Mobile Feat and Unwavering Mark. And finally, we get our ultimate, Stand United, from Protective Bond. The race for this build was a brilliant catch by one of the folks on our build stream we did on Sunday. Mark of Sentinel Human from Eberron is a perfect choice for Shen. They'll give us +2 to our Constitution and +1 to our Wisdom. We also get a few cool features. Sentinel's Intuition is going to give us an extra D4 to add on to any insight or perception checks. Guardian's Shield is going to give us a free cast of the shield spell once per long rest. Vigilant Guardian allows you to burn your reaction to swap places with a creature within 5 feet to take an attack that was meant for them. And finally, you get Spells of the Mark, which is an expanded spell list for you to draw on. Background was another cool idea from the build stream, with Knight of the Order from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Now if this doesn't float your boat, you can definitely roll Acolyte and it'll fit, but we wanted to try something different. You would be a Knight of the Kinkou, and garner the respect of the other Kinkou Knights you encounter. That'll be something your DM can take and run with, so enjoy that. You'll get proficiency with Persuasion and Nature, and the Knightly Regard feature. This is going to endear you to the common folk and have them help you in almost any way they can when you're in town. For stats, we're going for some Enforced Equilibrium with the standard array. Roll if you want to embrace the Order of Shadow, but keep at least a 13 in Wisdom and Dexterity for multiclassing purposes. Dexterity is going to be our top score because, duh, ninja. Next we'll go Wisdom, because his entire life is focused on the wisdom his father taught him, and he strives to pass that on to others. Constitution will be after that so we can get some tankiness. Strength next is a natural byproduct of all the training he's done. Our average stat is going to be Intelligence, and we'll dump Charisma because of his failure to persuade Zed and Akali off their paths. For equipment, we're going to pick up some studded leather armor for his ninja garb, and we'll pick up a short sword for his Ionian steel saber. Remember, we'll get a Spirit Blade from the Spiritual Weapon spell later on. Heading into the key class levels now, we're going to open things up with a level in Fighter. Fighters have a D10 hit die and proficiency with shields, all armors, and all weapons. We're also going to choose Athletics and Acrobatics for our 2 skill proficiencies because again, ninja. First level fighters choose a fighting style, and since Shen mainly focuses on single-bladed combat, we're going with dueling. This is going to give us a +2 damage to all attacks made with our short sword. Our final level 1 feature is Second Wind, which is actually a rune I choose on Shen quite often. In D&D though, this is going to heal us as a bonus action, for 1d10 plus our fighter level once per rest. Remember not to waste this. Anytime you're going to short rest, make sure you've used this feature before you start burning hit die to heal. Second level fighters pick up Action Surge, which you should all know by now that I'm a huge stan of. Action Surge allows us to push ourselves once per rest to take an additional action on our turn. Once we hit a level 11, this is going to let us hit the all-powerful 6-person taunt, so stay tuned for that. Level 3 fighters choose their martial archetype. Okay, I'm going to try and head you guys off in the comments section now. I know many of you are expecting Psy Warrior here, and I want you to know, I think that is a perfectly acceptable choice here, and a route we heavily considered on the build stream. However, to me, besides Shen's ult, the most iconic thing about him is the 5-man taunt, which you just can't emulate with Psy Warrior. So we're going Cavalier. Cavaliers give us a free skill proficiency, so we'll take Insight. We're going to skip over Born to the Saddle because this isn't Kled or Sejuani. What we will talk about though is Unwavering Mark, which is as close to a taunt as we're going to get in D&D. This allows you to mark any creature you hit with a melee attack until the end of your next turn. Any marked creature has disadvantage on any attack roll they make that doesn't target you. And if they do manage to deal damage to the target besides you, on your next turn, you can use your bonus action to make an attack against them with advantage and bonus damage equal to half your fighter level. Remember, as many people as you can hit, you can mark. Keep that in mind for extra attack and Action Surge. 4th level fighters gain the first ability score improvement of the build. Per the new format, we're going to cover all of the ASIs here. At 4th level fighter, we'll pick up the mobile feat. This is going to give you 10 extra movement speed, freedom from difficult terrain when you dash, and most importantly, when you make a melee attack against a creature, they can't hit you with an opportunity attack if you run away. This is going to let us run through, unwavering marking people with impunity. At 4th level cleric, we're going to pick up the Piercer feat. We went with Slasher originally for the slow on our Q during the build stream, then I realized while writing this script that short swords are piercing damage, not slashing. So I'm silly, but we still need that +1 dex somehow, so let's go with this. Piercer gives us that +1 dex I mentioned, as well as an opportunity to reroll 1 piercing damage die once per turn if it's a bad roll. Also, if you crit, you get to roll an additional damage die. At 8th level cleric, we're going to bump our dexterity with 2 more points. And at 6th level fighter, we'll do the same to max our dexterity. At 8th level fighter, we'll have us switching to bumping our wisdom to start buffing our cleric spells. And at 12th level fighter, we'll round off our constitution and wisdom scores with a point each. Level 5 fighters get extra attack, which means we get 2 saber swings instead of 1 per attack action. Remember, this is where we generally begin our multi-classing journey, because most martial classes are balanced around extra attack, and they'd feel clunky if they went the majority of their leveling experience with just 1 attack. Rogues notwithstanding. Speaking of multi-classing, time to switch over to Cleric for a few levels. Clerics have a D8 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. Shen's Divine Domain is going to be the Peace Domain. Level 1 Peace Clerics gain some awesome domain spells, the Implement of Peace and Emboldening Bond. The Implement of Peace is a proficiency and a skill. The only one we have available left is Performance. Emboldening Bond is the precursor to our ultimate ability. As an action, you choose a group of willing creatures within 30 feet to bond to based on your proficiency bonus. While any creature stays within 30 feet of another bonded creature, they can add a d4 once per turn to any attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes. The only level 1 spell we need to discuss is Shield of Faith, which is going to be another version of Shen's Key Barrier or the shield provided by Stand United. As a bonus action, you create a shimmering field around a creature, granting them +2 AC for the duration. Now we're going to skip over to level 3. This is because the channel divinities aren't really relevant to Shen. We do learn 2nd level spells here, so it's time to pick up Shen's Q, Spiritual Weapon. This allows you to create your Spirit Blade as a bonus action, which will float around, and when it's in range of a target, you can make a spell attack roll and deal 1d8 plus your Wisdom mod and damage if it lands. As a bonus action on each of your turns, you can move the blade 20 feet and make the attack again. Skipping again to 6th level Cleric. Level 6 Peace Clerics get Protective Bond, which is going to be our Stand United ability. When any creature protected by Emboldening Bond within 30 feet is about to take damage, You can use your reaction to teleport within 5 feet of the creature and take that damage instead. This is awesome because it works just like League. You'll try and predict one of your allies is about to get hit hard. On your turn, you'll cast Shield of the Faithful on them, and then when that hit inevitably comes, you use your reaction to teleport to them and take the hit instead like the badass you are. Level 7 Clerics learn 4th level spells. We're going to use Odaluke's Resilient Sphere as a super clunky version of our W. We also played around with Magic Circle as a possibility, but honestly neither really fits right. The spell will let you wrap a willing creature that's large or smaller in a sphere of shimmering force. The target can be unwilling, but it has a chance to make a save and end the spell. While in the sphere, they are virtually immune to harm and simultaneously unable to harm others outside of the sphere. This would stop all basic attacks from hitting them, but also stops them from making basic attacks, so it's definitely not perfect. The sphere exists for a minute unless you've got a Disintegrate spell handy. 8th level Clerics learn Blessed Strikes thanks to Tasha's. Once per turn, when you land an attack against a creature, you can add 1d8 radiant damage on top. This is going to be the empowered auto attacks provided by our Twilight Assault. And we're back over to Fighter. 7th level Cavaliers gain Warding Maneuver, which is going to let you use your reaction to add 1d8 to the AC of anyone within 5 feet of you who is the target of an attack. If the attack still manages to land, the target has resistance against that attack's damage. You have charges of this based on your Constitution mod, and they recharge on a long rest. Skipping up to Fighter level 11 now. We skipped over Indomitable and Hold the Line, though you should definitely go look up Hold the Line and see why Cavaliers are really awesome and have some great tank potential, especially for D&D. Level 11 fighters gain the extra attack improvement, meaning we can now swing 3 times per attack action, meaning we can land that 6-person taunt. To do this, you're going to run through a group of enemies, making attacks on 3 targets, marking them with Unwavering Mark, and not provoking opportunity attacks thanks to Mobile. Then, action surging and hitting 3 more people for the same effect. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. Shen is definitely a ninja in this build, with crazy high dexterity and the ability to dash all around the battlefield. We also got a perfect version of his ultimate, which until the Peace Domain was going to be a little clunky. Landing the 6-man taunt is going to be so satisfying. Now the bad. The main con to this build is that we have no good answer for Shen's W. Also, our taunt isn't a perfect replication, but it's still really cool and should have the same effect unless your DM is spiteful. So, what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and monthly homebrew releases. We plan on churning out 1 League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.